Hi, it's Amanda again with Face Mask Warriors. I am here today to show you how to make a quick sew 3-pleated mask with a pocket for a filter. It's 4 simple pieces. You need an outside fabric that is 8 by 10, the inside fabric that is 8 by 16, and then 2 1.5 to 2 inch wide strips that are the full width of your fabric that will make your ties. If you want to add a nose wire, you'll need 4-inch pieces of pipe cleaner or whatever your hospital's preferred material is for this. So I'm going to find the center of my pipe cleaner by just folding it in half, kind of bending it, and then straightening it back out so I can tell where my center is. On my outer fabric, which is the smaller rectangle, I'm actually going to use the back side of it, the wrong side of it, find the center of the 8-inch side, and that's where you're going to line up the center of your pipe cleaner with. So we're going to start this with just a simple straight stitch, pretty close to the raw edge, because this is going to eventually get another set of stitching on it. So I'm going to start with just a straight stitch, and then I'm going to eventually, when I get close to my pipe cleaner, I'm going to widen that stitch a little at a time to make a zigzag, and I want that zigzag to be tight enough that it's going to prevent my pipe cleaner from sliding out when it's being washed. So as that gets close, I'm going to widen my zigzag so that we'll go over the pipe cleaner. And I like to back stitch a little bit, narrow it down again. I'm just going to pull this to straighten it back out a little bit. You can see already that my pipe cleaner is going to stay in place as long as I don't pull on it. Widen that just a little, and I'm going to back stitch again because I accidentally pulled on it. It doesn't really matter how many times you're going to go over this piece of wire right in this step, because it's all going to be encased. Nobody's going to see those stitches, and honestly at this point nobody cares if it looks pretty or not. We just want it to be effective and to protect our people. So I'm going to keep going here till I get to the end with lots and lots of stitches. I personally feel that you can't have too many stitches in this step because, like I said, we don't want that wire to move at all. I have seen some people, I'm going to take this back down to just a straight stitch. I have seen some people make a pocket for their wire pieces. You can do that as well, and if you do that, you can just attach that to this end with the wire already in a pocket, and it's no big deal. It's already going to have, just by the process of how we're going to fold this, it's already going to have 5 layers of fabric between the wire and the face. So that is a lot of cushion. Now I'm going to take the other end of this piece, and I'm not even going to iron or measure. I'm just going to fold that over roughly 1/4 inch and baste that down. Get my hands on the other side so that you can see what I'm doing. So this is going to be the front side of my mask. So I'm going to put this so that I can put the right side of my fabric is going to go and line up with my inner fabric. If you don't have different colored fabric, you can easily fix that, especially if your pattern doesn't show through very much. My pattern for my example probably isn't the greatest for this, but you're going to use the longer piece folded in half, and you're going to line up that raw edge with the same raw edge that has the wire. I'm going to flip this over so that you can see the wire side as I baste. It's now 3 layers. I'm going to baste that together. Again, it doesn't matter what these look like because it's going to be on the inside of my mask. Nobody's going to ever see this. So I'm going to stitch this straight across, getting as close to that pipe cleaner as I can, so that the pipe cleaner stays right at the top of my mask when it's being worn. So now I have my inner and my outer fabrics connected. I'm going to flip this the other way so that I now have the right side of my fabric. So this is going to be the front of my mask. This is going to be the back of my mask. You can see that the outer fabric is a little bit longer. That's where we're going to make that pocket. So we're going to fold this over and we're going to baste both sides to keep it together. If you are really, really talented and can keep all these layers together while you make pleats, you don't really have to baste the sides. I'm not that talented. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other side as well. Exact same thing. Get this started. And all of these raw edges on the left and right sides are going to be encased by the time that we're done. So you can see that here's my front again. I have a pocket opening. My wire is right here, so it'll be at the top. So you'll see that the pocket opening is actually at the bottom. This came as a request from multiple nurses who said that this pocket on top of the nose just added extra irritation. So I flipped it around. All right, so at this point, we're gonna take our mask pleats in. I like to start with my first fold where the pocket is. And again, I don't do a whole lot of measuring. I just fold. When I'm nervous, I don't fold very quickly. Those of you who are really, really good at making pleats will probably do this step super fast. And like I said, kind of nervous. I don't really do videos all that well. I'm sorry. You can see my nerves coming out. There. All right, so I've got my 3 pleats. If I flip that over, you can see that the pocket is easily accessible. You can baste it the 2 sides down at this step as well. It's not absolutely necessary. I like to hold it with any object that I have standing next. Then I'm going to take my my long piece of fabric here. If you have the time or you have somebody else you can recruit to actually make bias tape, or kind of fake bias tape because it's not on the bias, but can iron this into the quarter folds, that's great. It's not absolutely necessary though. So I'm just going to take the center of this strip and I'm going to line it up with the center, or roughly the center of my pleats, and I'm going to baste that in place. And then we will actually flip this and finish the, sorry if my hand is in the way. I'm going to show you how we can encase all of this so that this tie strap is nice and neat. Okay, so I'm going to flip this and just fold. I just grabbed whatever fabric I could that was laying around to make this example. I try to make sure that as I'm sewing, I'm gonna have my mask not in the middle of under the arm of my machine, but out to the side, so it's not in my way. If you have enough arm space in your machine, it doesn't really matter. But you're gonna take your strap, you're gonna fold the end of it 1/4 to 1/2 inch, because that will encase these ends so they don't fray after being washed. You are gonna fold this just like it was gonna be bias tape, so fold it in 1/4. And I just use my fingers to kind of press it a little bit. And then fold that in 1/2. So it's like bias tape. and then we're gonna start just sewing this. So this is the last step. You'll do it on both sides. I like to make sure definitely that you back stitch. I like to start with a straight stitch, and then once I get it just going a little bit, I widen that to a nice zigzag. Straight stitch is fine. I just prefer to do a zigzag so that when I get down to the actual mask portion, that it has just extra reinforcement there. So you're just going to keep going, and once you do a couple of these, it goes really, really quickly. When I'm not super nervous because somebody is videoing me and having to go a little bit slower to make sure that people can see as I'm explaining, I can actually make one of these masks in under 5 minutes. I timed myself 2 days ago in 4 minutes, 24 seconds, not counting cutting. Thankfully, I have some great local partners in the manufacturing realm who are going to mass cut our patterns for us to make this even faster, so I don't have to cut, and neither do any of my people sewing. So your mask is going to be encased in the tie strap. So that eliminates all of your raw edges. And as I said earlier, if you have the time, or you want to take the time, or you have somebody else that you can con into ironing these, a bias tape maker and an iron is all you would need to make these already pressed nice and flat so that you don't have to mess with it with your hands, but it's not absolutely necessary. Again, our emergency personnel and our healthcare workers, they don't care if it's pretty. They just want to be protected as much as they possibly can be. When you get to the end, once I get right to my machine, again, I fold this half an inch, quarter to half of an inch to keep the ends encased so they don't fray. If your fingers are really, really nimble, it doesn't take quite so long as what I'm doing right now. Again, back stitch. And then you have one side of your mask complete. I'm just going to go ahead and baste this other side so you don't have to see me mess with the ribbon one more time. I shouldn't say ribbon, it's not really ribbon, but the tie strap. I'm just going to baste this in place so you can see. So we would have the other tie strap on the other side, but we would have a completed mask with the nose wire on the top, so that you can form that to your face. The pocket opening is actually on the bottom, but because it overlaps like the old-fashioned sandwich bags, the filter is not going to fall out if they choose to use a filter. It already has 3 layers of cotton, and the ties allow it to be adjusted to whatever size head the person might has another, so it makes it fully adjustable to go over anyone's face. So that would be your completed mask. I hope I've been helpful.